All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of The Potential Project. I'm your host, Sean, and today I told you we were going to be bringing on some guests, and today we have a very special guest here, Mr. Ovi. So welcome, man. I don't want
Thank
to
you.
take too much time on the intro, but long story short is we've been connecting, we've been
Mhm,
building a relationship, and we have similar missions,
mhm.
and we want to help people. So for our listeners, for our members, and just for people out there who want to get to know Ovi and his passion for fitness and where he comes from and what we're going to do together. This one is for you guys. So thank you, Ovi,
No, thank you. I
for
think this is
hopping on the
awesome.
show.
Yeah,
Hell yeah, man. I always laugh to myself because when I think like when I say your name, it's kind of like Drake or like Cher,
I
right?
have
There's
one name, right?
just
Right?
one name,
Wheezy.
Ovi,
Yeah,
right? It's just
yeah.
Ovi.
Well, if you think Arnold, you just say Arnold,
Yeah,
right?
they know
Everybody
who you're
knows who
talking
Arnold
about.
is, right? You don't
Yeah,
say Arnold Schwarzenegger. Everybody's like, yeah, we know who Arnold is.
yeah. So
That's
it's just
cool.
so it's just Ovi.
It is just
Um,
Ovi. I have one name.
Cool, cool. So, if you have met Ovi, if you're in the area and you're listening, you know he is a fitness coach. He works with nutrition. He has his own business, Ovi Physiques, which we'll get into. But let's start at the very beginning. Like, who is Ovi? Where are you
All
from?
right, let's do it.
Tell us about
Okay.
yourself.
So sometimes, especially when I get nervous, you notice the accent's a little bit
Okay.
thicker than other times.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, oh, does he even have one? Right? And other times you're like, he has one. So I was born in Romania.
Okay.
All right. I came here when I was 9. Lived in New York for about 5 years, and then my parents, my mom and my stepdad, uh, they had a weekend house in the Poconos,
Okay.
which eventually became our actual house. So we
Okay.
moved from New York, and I actually went from 8th grade on in the Poconos. So it was kind of nice because I loved it up there, right? Like, and you live in New York, and it's like houses are connected. You have concrete everywhere, right? There's concrete everywhere. There's buses there. Then you go to the Poconos, and now you worry more about bears than
Hmm.
than buses, right? Or like too many cars or whatever. But I loved growing up there. I had a lot more opportunities for sports, right? A lot more opportunities to grow. A lot
In
more
the
opportunity,
Poconos.
yeah, a lot more
Okay.
opportunity to play, right? Meaning we would go out, we would leave the house in the morning and just ride our bikes for, the entire day. We would have the lake, we would have the sand pits where we would take our dirt bikes, right? So I grew up in the Poconos.
Okay.
But like I said, it gave me the opportunity to be part of different sports where maybe in New York I wouldn't have had the same opportunity,
Got it.
right? So shortly after that, uh, obviously you get older. I went to college at East Stroudsburg and I finished with a business management degree. So back then, my mom had a mortgage company.
Okay.
And then the 2008 mortgage thing hit and no more mortgage company,
Yeah.
right? So I spent 8 years in corporate finance. So I have 8 years of TD Bank primarily,
Yeah.
uh, which was great. You make a lot of money, you have a nice title. It all sounds great, except the fact that you hate your life going to work every day, right?
That's not good.
Right. But I was
Not
always
good.
into fitness. And I told you, but so I'll tell everybody else. When I was little, right, in Romania, here, most kids would collect baseball cards,
Yeah.
football cards, right? Like sports stuff.
Yeah.
We would collect Arnold cards,
Hmm.
right? Rambo, Jean-Claude Van Damme, right? And what did they all have in common? Muscles, right?
I didn't even know they had cards.
They had cards, right?
Yeah.
They had cards, like kind of like baseball cards. It's exactly
Yeah.
what it was, but it
Yeah.
was little. It was more like pictures from the movies,
Got it.
right? Like
Got it.
Arnold with the
Action.
gun, with
Yeah.
right the big guns at the same time holding a freaking rifle or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Rambo with the thing tied up and right.
Yeah.
And in Rambo 3, I remember he was fighting the Russians, right? That's what the movie was about, right? And with the tank and the helicopter, and like that's the stuff that I collected, right? Jean-Claude Van Damme and the split,
Yeah.
right, with the 2 feet on chairs.
Yep.
So that's what we collected. And since I was 5, I knew I wanted to one have muscles, right? That was the thing because that's what I grew up admiring and looking
Yeah.
up to, right? So when I had the opportunity to get into bodybuilding, uh, I always wanted to do that. So when
Yeah.
that was an opportunity, I left the bank, literally left the bank and started doing bodybuilding. I hired a coach out of nowhere, right? I paid for the coach, the bodybuilding pro. Found him on Instagram, which turned out to be legit because there's so many scams out there, right? But he
Yeah.
was legit and it turned out to be a good thing. Um, and got into bodybuilding, stepped on stage like little Ovi from Romania collecting Rambo cards now is actually doing the damn thing,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Uh,
let me pause you there. Let's kind of like resurface back to little Ovi, right?
all right, let's
So
go there.
we're collecting
We're
cards.
collecting cards.
We're obsessed with the fact of like badass
Yeah,
muscle dude,
right,
right?
right.
What did that lead you to? Did it lead you to play certain sports? Did you wrestle? Like,
So no, it's funny you say that. I think I missed my calling. I think I should have been a WWE wrestler.
there you
I
go.
think that would have been the shit,
Okay.
right? But I didn't wrestle.
Okay.
I was born in Romania to play soccer.
Okay.
Soccer's my shit,
Got it. Got
right?
it.
So now that I have muscles, people think I played football or wrestled or whatever, but that
Right.
wasn't the case. I was 125, 24 pounds freshman year of college,
Okay.
right? So like
Yeah.
I wasn't a big guy. It wasn't until college and after that that I really pushed this whole thing.
Got it. So even though your obsession was
Right,
like those guys, you
right.
still were like, all right, I'm on the soccer field. Like this is what
Yeah,
our
I mean
country
that's what
does.
I
Yeah.
knew, right? And too bad my mom didn't know when we first came here what I could actually do with sports in the US,
Yeah.
right? So she worked two jobs. So taking me to practice and taking me to all the things that she should have taken me to was not in the cards,
Right.
right? And that kind of faded. I think I was better at soccer when I was 6 years old than in high school varsity.
Got it.
Okay,
Got it.
we used to practice in Romania when we were 5 and 6 with 16-year-olds,
Yep.
12-year-olds, 14-year-olds to push us around and so we can withstand all the, you know, uh, game, game time,
Yeah.
all the things that happened during the game. So when I came here playing with nine and unders, it was like nothing, right?
Yeah.
But it just wasn't in the cards, right?
Okay.
So being small, playing soccer, then you get picked on, all the things,
Yeah.
right? So when I got to college, I was like, I'm changing the shit out of this, right? I'm going to change everything, and really push for the whole muscles,
Got
right?
it.
Obviously, I met some people that helped me take some supplements that
Yeah.
most people don't want to take, right?
Yeah.
But it gave me the knowledge from that. I went from 126 pounds freshman year of college to 185 pounds freshman sophomore year of college, right?
Okay.
Really
Big
freaking
difference.
quick, big difference,
Yeah.
right? Um, because of the supplements.
And how tall are you for
5'8".
Okay, so
5'8".
for the perspective, he's not
Right.
like 6'4", right?
Right, I'm a little guy,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I'm a little guy. But I learned a lot from those people, right?
Yeah.
I learned a lot about, we're going to talk about it, it's steroids, right? So I
Yeah.
learned about steroids. I learned a lot about muscles. I learned about what it takes for them to grow.
Right.
I learned proper rep counts. I learned proper like tempos, stuff like that. So although people think that just because you take those types of supplements, you could just sit on your ass and things will happen,
Yeah.
it's actually more work
Of course.
because you want whatever you're taking and whatever you're kind of poisoning your body with, you still have to do the work. You have to diet. You have to learn food. You have to learn restrictions. You have to learn limitations. And most importantly, in college, it's hard to learn that the alcohol doesn't help.
Right.
Right.
And that's
So
all you want to do.
that's
right?
all I can't remember half the college, but
Right.
you learn some stuff. And then when I got out of college, I was supposed to work for my mom, and I did, right?
Yeah.
The mortgage company. And then when that took a hit in 2008, well, what am I going to do? I have a business management degree. Yeah, I like muscles and all that, but it wasn't at that time part of what I was doing for a living,
Right.
So again, I have 8 years of corporate finance. Now, when I saw the end of corporate finance, which was 2014,
Mhm.
okay, 2014, I said, I can't. Like, I would think of ways to like crash my car, but not hard enough where you're getting hurt, but enough to where you don't have to go to work or get a flat tire or something
Yeah.
that'll prohibit you from going to work. You hated your work, right? You hated life going to work. And in 2014, I said enough. Got into bodybuilding, did shows for 4 years, ended up with nationals. But remember, in college, I learned a lot of the right things.
Yeah.
Yeah, the supplements helped me to put on weight, but the work to get to help me when I got into bodybuilding.
Right.
Right.
The discipline.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So the discipline for the food was not difficult for me. The discipline with training was not difficult for me. What was difficult for me was eating all the food I had to eat.
The amount.
The amount.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, it's really not, because you and I could probably sit here and house 2 pies of pizza easily,
Yeah.
which is 3,000 calories.
Yeah.
1,800 calories of chicken and rice, not the same, right? It seems
Right.
like it was double the food,
Right.
which
it's
is
so
technically it
satiating.
is, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you're so full.
Yep.
And dense nutrients and quality food, right? Which changes your body composition. It's no longer about, yeah, I'm eating a lot, but I'm eating the food that changes your body composition,
Yeah.
right? So macros work, but macros are not created equal,
No,
right?
not even close.
Food is not that just created equal. Calories are not created equal.
No.
Yeah, you can lose weight with being in a calorie deficit, but to get a certain body composition, there's only a certain amount of foods that'll give you that.
Right, right.
You know, so yes, you can lose weight. Yes, you can put on muscle. To look a certain way, you have to do certain things.
Yeah.
Right. Certain amount, certain foods.
So for you, right? You were in college, and that's when you first said, you know what, I'm doing this.
I'm
Like
painting everything.
I need to put
Yeah.
I need to do this. What held you back from doing that prior to that? Like,
I didn't know.
okay,
I didn't know enough.
yeah,
I didn't know enough in high school. Um, and it just wasn't something that really pushed me until I got to college.
what was the breaking point? Like,
So in high school, I got into a altercation.
okay,
Okay. And I wasn't a big guy. I wasn't someone that would fight you all the time, right? I didn't want to fight you, right? And then getting into an altercation with a senior that was bigger, more confident, right? And the way that altercation made me feel, it wasn't about getting your ass kicked. It wasn't about getting hit. It wasn't about getting beat up. It wasn't that. It was the feeling. I didn't like feeling inferior.
right.
It was just something for me. It was a
Yeah.
confidence thing. It had nothing to do with size or muscles or
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
like that. It was just the confidence that there was no way anybody was going to make me feel that little.
Yep.
On top of me being little,
Yeah.
right? Now I feel little
Yeah.
from an emotion standpoint.
Yeah.
So when I got to college, completely different demographic, completely different place, completely different, whole new set of people that didn't know anything about
Yep.
little Ovi.
Yep.
So I said, this is my chance to really become who I want to be. And who I want to be is, I want to be known for fitness. I want to be known for, learning muscles, learning tempo, helping people. And then it just took me down the business path because my mom owned the business company, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have gone to exercise science or stuff like that, right?
Yeah. But I want to point something out though, because like I'm sure a lot of people can relate to your story in their own way, right? Like if you guys don't know me, I'm shorter than Ovi. Like I'm 5'7". So if he thinks he's little, I'm right there. So being the little guy, it has an effect on you at that age. Like I'm sure, like if you got into a fight in high school and you just felt like like you said, it's not even about taking an ass whooping. It's about the mental and emotional feeling of just not having power, right? And what the discipline of changing your body does. So this is where I mean it applies to everybody. When you look at someone who has a physique of, a good physique, a lot of muscles, or for a female who's toned or whatever, you have the knowledge to know that they were disciplined enough to eat certain things, to act a certain way, to get to the gym a certain amount of times, and that kind of you have respect for them because they have respect for themselves. Right. So you had to, not only did you want to have muscles to maybe protect yourself or what have you, you built your interior confidence by doing the things that were necessary to achieve the body, is my point.
Right. And it's not about like, you need to look a certain way to have confidence. It's not even about looks. It's not even about muscles. It's what you need to get to that level.
Exactly.
Right. And for some people it could be rock climbing. I don't know, right? For some people it could be getting your hair done, right? Or it could be just going to buy new clothes or buy new shoes, whatever will make you have the confidence that you need. For me, it was being the ability to kind of like stand up for myself. And the way I felt like I needed to do that was to go to the gym, build that muscle, build that confidence within me. And it had nothing to do with the size of the muscles. It just had to do with that was what I needed.
But imagine
to build that confidence. But it's not the same for everybody. And I don't want people to think that, oh, you can only build confidence by the way you look.
No,
not at all.
No.
Right? It's just what inside you drives you to get to that point.
Exactly.
For me, it's this.
Yep. And the way I see it is just holding the promise to yourself. So if you were that college kid and you were like, you know what? I know I need to get to the gym. I need to start changing what I eat. And then you didn't. That's just going to lower your confidence.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? Like
I
haven't done anything to change it, so I can't be mad at myself that I'm not there.
Exactly. Exactly. But clearly, so we're fast forwarding, right? You did go to the gym. You did commit to yourself. You did make the promises and keep them. Like, hey, I'm gonna get there a certain amount of times. I'm gonna learn about structures of hypertrophy training and things like that. Was it hard for you at first?
It was hard because actually it wasn't hard to learn it because I didn't know it.
Right.
So it was easy to absorb because I wanted it to know it, right? So like, when you go to certain classes or you watch a certain movie or a documentary, you read a book or you're trying to study for something, it just doesn't click,
Hmm.
right? Like no matter how much you look at the book, you're just not getting it.
No.
But then there's something that really you're passionate about. You read it once, you remember it forever, right? For some reason, you just do it. That's how it was for me. I was like a sponge when it came to anything that dealt with fitness.
Yep.
And it didn't matter if it was muscles, it was running, it was triathletes, it was all kinds of sports. I'm a sponge for it. Like I'll just remember it. But that's my passion, right? So like
Yeah.
I really want to know it. So therefore I'm not going to forget it. Do I know everything in all the fitness books that we've read? Absolutely not.
No.
Right? But there's a lot of it that just kind of resonates with me. So in college, I didn't want to I should have gone for like exercise science, like I said. But I was also nervous because I was afraid I wouldn't pass anatomy.
Mm.
And now all I do is teach anatomy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like I could teach a course on anatomy if you ask me to, right?
Right.
Which is funny where life takes you. But yeah, you have to want to learn it. You have to want to make the changes. And with anything, you're going to have to make adjustments to your current lifestyle.
Yeah.
When I got into bodybuilding, I lost a lot of friends. Uh, I still talk to some of them, but as far as going out, as
Yep.
far as like being social, it's not that I couldn't, but it wasn't helping where I was trying to go.
Hmm.
So I'm not saying that you can't bodybuild and go out. That's not what I'm saying. For me, it wasn't working.
Yeah.
Right. But what was the bigger goal? The
Well,
bigger goal was to get here, not to go out.
that's the point,
Right.
right?
So was it that I couldn't? Absolutely, I could. No one said no. But for me, it wasn't helping my goal. I wouldn't have gone here if I didn't make certain adjustments. And it wasn't anything about those friends. They're really fucking cool.
Yeah.
You
Very
know.
good.
And right, a lot of them are still good friends. Like our kids play together. For some, I don't talk to anymore. Right? It's just because that's the way life took us. But you have to be willing to make the adjustment to be better.
Yeah.
And your friends, your family, your acquaintances, your sisters, your brothers, anybody that is not helping, then that's the decision you have to make.
So I look at it this way. Everyone has goals, no matter how big, how small,
Right.
right? You have your goal that you want to achieve. One thing you have to analyze is, are the people, activities, habits, and things that I'm doing getting me closer to it or further away?
Right.
So you clearly stated, all right, I have this goal, I'm steadfast on hitting it.
Right.
These people and these activities are not going to help me get there. So they're going to have to maybe be removed totally or just limited. And I think that's what a lot of people don't want to do. They don't want to have the reality conversation with themselves to say, hey, this relationship is not benefiting me, but I'm comfortable here, you know?
I'll give you a good example. When I first started bodybuilding, I didn't really know what exactly it would all entail. I just knew I had to work out and eat more food
Yep.
or better food. That's all I really knew.
Yep.
Until I got my plan from this bodybuilding coach, and I was like, no. Like I think mentally in my own head, I quit like 6 times that first week
Wow.
because like it was so much food. It took me an hour and a half to eat dinner
Holy crap.
because it was so much food. I go like all day, every day, 3.5 hours. I would have to eat, right?
Yeah.
Whether I wanted to or not,
Yeah.
right? But we had a football draft. At that point, I still did fantasy football, and we were doing it at a restaurant that we always did it at. No big deal. I brought my own food.
Yeah.
I had to eat at what I had to eat. And as soon as I pulled out the food, now everybody knew what I was getting into, but as soon as I pulled out the food, it was really like looked down on.
Yeah.
And I don't think they meant it that way because it was new to everybody.
Yeah.
Like, up until this point, I would be right there with them, right? Elbow to elbow, drinking, eating, whatever, right? Like we were doing this thing, right? And then all of a sudden that stopped. Well, I'm going to go to the bar and get us drinks. You want anything? No.
Yeah.
Give me a glass of water. Why would you drink water? Why don't drink?
Yeah.
The pizzas are coming. I can't eat pizza.
Yeah.
Right. Was that I couldn't, but the bigger goal was to step on stage.
Yep.
Right. I had to step on stage. That was the goal. And when that happened, I went out again to try to see if that would change. And I got the same reaction, even though I didn't bring food with me this time. I ate before I left. I still didn't drink. Right. It was water. Right. The same reaction. It wasn't anything against them. I don't think they were trying to be rude or mean in any way. but it didn't fit what I was trying to accomplish. And if that's the route I wanted to go, I had to make that change.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I couldn't go out. It's just I'd rather continue with the focus to get to the goal than to go out and have the distraction that maybe I'm not doing the right thing. Maybe I
Mm-hmm.
should be drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should go out all the time and like, right? But looking back at it, it gave me the platform to do whatever the hell I want to do as far as like, this is me. Like, I'm living what I've wanted to do since I was 5.
Yep.
Going out and drinking, whoever wants to be friends with me are still friends with me, and I'm still friends with.
Yeah.
And who didn't understand it, no offense, like I'm a call away. I'm not mad at anybody, but if you're not gonna invite me because I'm doing something to better myself, then we're good.
Yeah.
Like not mad, but you have to understand where you're trying to go.
And that can be a difference maker for people because if you are not where you want to be in whatever
In
area
anything,
of life,
anything,
something needs to change. And
whatever it is.
you were willing to make the change of not eating the certain things, not drinking the beer, and people don't it like that's what people are gonna have to realize. When you go to make a change, the people know you for what you were. All right. They grew up with Ovi in high school or college or whatever stage of life, they know that person and they didn't know who you were trying to become, but only you could see that.
Right,
You
because I
had the
wanted it since I
vision.
was freaking 5.
Yeah.
Like, and I still bring up those Jean-Claude Van Damme and Rambo and Arnold cards. Like, I could see them in my head.
Yeah.
I even know the pictures,
Yeah.
right? Like, Arnold had a cigar in his mouth. It's a picture from freaking Terminator
Yeah.
when he's in the woods. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I have those pictures in my head. Like I said, with Jean-Claude Van Damme with the feet on the chairs and he's in a split doing one of these moves,
Yeah.
right? And Rambo with the thing tied around his head,
Yeah.
like I just remember it all, right? So like that's what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Um, and there was nothing that was going to change that. There was no friends that was going to tell me I can't do it. There was no alcohol. There was nothing
Yeah.
that you can say that would have changed my goal to step on that stage at least once.
Yeah.
And then the goal was to go to nationals
Right.
and compete for a pro card.
Yeah.
Never got the pro card, but I was freaking on that stage at nationals with 3 guys side by side that turned pro.
Yeah.
That was cool. That was the goal for me. I still get goosebumps. Look,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like that was the goal to step on that stage. I never wanted to go back. I'm not going back to bodybuilding as far as like stepping on stage bodybuilding because I still bodybuild,
Yeah.
but I don't restrict to that extent.
So what was your stint of like how many years did you 4 years?
3.5, 4,
3.5 to 4 years
7
of
shows.
like okay, you did 7
Mhm.
shows. So obviously that's a crap load of training, eating,
Non-stop.
stifling.
So it was
Yeah.
year after year, there was no break.
No break,
No
right?
break.
You're
I went
constantly
straight
getting
through.
ready
Right.
for the next
Because
show.
I wanted to go to freaking nationals.
Okay, what was the hardest part about all that?
Nationals. The hardest part about that,
Yeah, because there's like you said,
I
the
have-
schedule, there's
I
the eating.
tried and quit twice during that last prep. I
Yeah,
quit. I was done.
Yeah.
There was no. I'm not going to nationals.
How come?
Screw it. The prep was so intense.
Mm,
You could not screw up.
mm.
I would sit at home, cut an almond in half to hit the macro,
Stop.
right? That's the extent of where you have to go.
Yeah.
If that's what you want,
Yep. Yep.
right? In anything. Talk about beauty pageants. Those poor girls, right? And it has nothing to do with what they know for politics or the stupid questions that they ask them on stage.
Yep.
Is they have to walk a certain way, they have to talk a certain way, they have to look a certain way, they have to have their hair a certain way, they have to have the right lipstick, they have to have the right earrings, the right dress, the right shoes, right? We could go on and on and
Yeah.
on and on. That is a daunting thing to
Yeah.
have to be perfect all the time, right? The restriction of food, and yeah, you can cheat, but do you want to win? Or do
Right.
you want to cheat?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that was my coach's answer. Yeah, you could go have sushi. Sushi was my cheat.
Yeah.
Think about it. It's fish and rice.
Yeah.
What's so bad about it? That was my cheat because
Yeah.
sushi's carby, right? The rice was carby,
Yeah.
right? His point was, go. But would you rather eat that or do you want to win?
Yeah.
Well, you knew my answer. I wanted to
Yeah.
win,
Yeah.
right? But it was just tough. And then the mood swings up and down, right? And then the supplements, the cycles would get too intense. And it wasn't even as intense as these big ass giant monsters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Think about that intensity.
Yeah.
But from the supplement standpoint, it was too much. You were almost like a pincushion.
Yeah.
Every other day, you would have to inject something to
Yep.
stay on point.
Yep.
And then when you were done with the show, you had to do a post so you can be healthy,
Mm.
right? It just became too much. And I achieved my goal to step on that national stage.
Yeah.
I have met my favorite bodybuilder of all time. I
Who's
shook
that?
hands, Ty Green.
Kai Green. I love Kai
Yeah.
Green. Yeah. Yeah.
The current men's physique Olympia champion was the first professional bodybuilder I met.
Yeah.
Shook hands. I have a picture with him. Right. I achieved a lot of the things that little Ovi would have never dreamed of from
Wow.
Romania. Right.
Yeah.
Like if you were to tell 5-year-old Ovi that when you get to that you will live in the U.S., you
Yep.
will step on stage for nationals, you will be known for muscles, you will help hundreds, if not thousands of people, thousands, because 7,500 classes and 8 years of,
Yeah. It's thousands.
right? It's 22,000 people if you average something, right? I did the math,
Yeah.
right? No one would. I would have never, but I stopped,
Yeah.
right? Stop. And that's what I try to tell people. It doesn't have to be that extreme, but whatever your goal is, there's adjustments you're going to have to make.
And to your point of like how intense it got with cutting the almond in half
Right,
and things
right.
like
That's the
that.
story I tell everybody because
Well,
it's silly.
yeah, but like I'm not telling people you need to go be a bodybuilder
No, not at all, please.
or be that extreme in your life, but it does show some respect for the people who do that because that applies to other areas of your life.
Right.
If you're going to be that disciplined to cut an almond in half, weigh it, and then hit your macros
Right.
perfectly, you're also going to be the guy to make sure you make your bed or make sure you do the extra phone call and like do the other things necessary to succeed in other areas
Yeah.
of life.
But to that point, you don't want to burn out.
No.
And I
No.
think I burned out, right?
Oh.
And there's bodybuilders that do this for 25 years, right?
Yep.
30 years. How?
Yeah.
How? I burned out so fast, like 4 years. I was done.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would have been done if I didn't get to nationals because
Yeah.
that was the bigger goal,
Yeah.
right? The bigger goal was to compete for that card.
Yep.
I got a chance to do that.
Yep.
Right. But now the goal is different.
I was going to say, when did we transition to saying, let's help other people?
When I saw what it takes to do that and how easy it can be to change someone's ability, how they view themselves.
Mm.
It's not as hard as everybody thinks. The hard part is for each individual to find out what that is.
Mm.
What do you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do? Do you want to just lose a couple pounds? Do you want to look a certain way? Do you want to wear certain clothes? Do you want to be able to go to a certain place, right? Where you feel confident? I don't know what that is. Do you want to own a business? Do you want to get that promotion? Whatever it is, you have to be willing to go to a level that others are not willing to go to reach your goal, whatever that is. I don't know what that is, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it was just that step on stage, right? And then it was nationals, right? And then it was, I can really help a lot of people understand that they don't have to have eating disorders.
No.
They don't have to cut an almond in half. Being a bodybuilder, and I hate to say it this way, it is an eating disorder, right? It's an exercise bulimia, whatever you call it, right? Because no matter, I was at 4.5% body fat, and I thought I had fat to lose on my lower abs, right? Because they didn't stick out as much as that other guy, right? So like shit like that, right? So you have to understand that. And when I was on stage and when I cut the almond and all this stuff and the mood swings and the up and down and all this stuff, people don't have to do that to live a healthy life, to look a certain way, to feel confident about themselves if that's what they wanted to do, right? To fit in their wedding dress, to fit in different jeans, to buy new clothes, right? They don't have to do all the crazy things that they think they have to do. And when we're talking about the cutting the almond to fit macros, bodybuilders eat a lot of food.
Yeah.
People think that we don't eat a lot of food or we're starving. We are not starving. It's just it's so specific and so precise to a certain amount of foods that it makes you think that you're restricting or that you're starving yourself, right? And I didn't want people to think that you have to starve yourself to get to where you want to be. You don't have to cut carbs to lose weight. You don't have to can't eat pizza to lose weight, or you can't have sushi. That's not the goal of most people. Is to step on stage.
Exactly.
It's not the goal.
Exactly.
It's not the goal, right? But whatever the goal is, there's always an adjustment. but it was my want to show people that they don't have to do that to get to their goal.
Yeah.
And I wanted to really simplify nutrition for everybody.
I was going to say, it seems like you were able to go to the extreme, but you realized like, hey, like you don't need to be 4% body
No,
fat.
because
If
you're still gonna think
yeah,
you can improve.
but if your goal is to get into your wedding dress or
Right.
tone up a little bit, like we can simplify this whole thing.
Right.
Let me ask you, so in your experience, what do you think is the biggest thing holding people back from hitting their goal?
Us, like ourselves,
Okay.
meaning think about what we were taught from when we were little, especially women. Eat less, more cardio,
Yep.
lose weight.
Yep.
But it's actually do less, eat more, lift weights,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
But I mean, so like let's say someone kind of figures that out. They get it.
right,
They get a good coach or
right,
whatever, and it's just not, or here's another scenario. There's either people who can't get on the routine, or maybe they lost weight. Let's say they lost 20, 30 pounds, and then boom, right back to the weight that they were.
be patient. We're not patient, right? We always want the quicker fix,
Mm,
right? The I think the biggest hurdle is we ex we are not realistic about what our goals are,
okay.
right? If I want to make $1 million by tomorrow, that is a very unrealistic goal,
Right.
right? And if I don't make it, I'll be pissed off and I'm going to quit because I didn't make $1 million by
Mm,
tomorrow. Same thing with in this aspect, right? I want to lose 20 pounds, but if it doesn't happen by the end of the month, it didn't work, right? The plan didn't work, right? Or, you know, you're not realistic about what you're willing to give to that goal. So you expect something. We're not realistic about
okay.
our expectations.
Yeah.
That's what I think the biggest problem
So what
is.
I'm hearing is number one, we're putting false expectations on how fast we can lose fat. And number two, by joining a gym or hiring a coach, that's automatically going to get you
Right, that's what
to
you're saying.
said
Right,
result. Hey, I paid you.
right. I'm
You're my
supposed to lose
trainer
weight.
now. And why is
Right.
my weight still here?
You still got to do the work,
Got it.
right? You still got to do the work. It took me, now mind you, I lifted in college,
Hmm.
right? I told you about the steroid cycles in college,
Yeah.
right? I had muscles leaving college. I had muscles going into bodybuilding. It still took me 8 months to see abs
Yeah.
with a strict bodybuilding program.
Yeah.
I would wake up at 1:30 in the morning to do cardio because I had to open at Orange Theory by 5.
Yeah.
And I had to wake up at 1:30 in the morning because it was a 45 minute of cardio. Then I had to shower, get dressed, and drive 35 minutes to work.
Yeah.
So when else was I going to do it? Because I had to do it before work, right? So realistic expectations,
Yeah.
right? And you want to make it stick. So I think our biggest hurdle is we are not realistic about what we're trying to accomplish.
Hmm.
Um, and then we also don't give ourselves enough time to know how we can maintain it. Because
Right.
it's easy to lose weight,
Right.
right? We could get people to lose weight as much as they want
Yeah.
in a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
But we all know we're not going to keep it off,
Right.
right? The faster you take it off, the faster it's going to come back on.
I think going back to like what you were saying and doing earlier in life is like building and stacking the habits to become a different person. When you were younger in high school and you started lifting weights and like committing to yourself, that was a long process, but you built confidence. So if you as a coach are like, hey, Sally, I need you to get, one extra egg in the morning for some more protein or drink one extra glass of water, that's a like seems like Ovi, what do you mean? Like that's not going to help me hit my goal. But as a coach, right? Hey, we're in this for, multiple years.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. And that's it. That is it. The patience to get to where you need to go and be realistic of what you want to do.
Yeah.
Like set the realistic, if you truly want to make a change, you want to give yourself at least a year. I don't care what the goal is. You could lose 10 pounds.
Mm,
Give yourself a year to get there.
yeah.
Because it's not just about losing the 10 pounds, but then finding out how you're going to keep it off. And how you keep it off, but still have a social life. How do you
Right.
keep it off by still going out with your friends? How do you keep it off by still having a birthday cake? How are you going to go out? How are you going to maintain it by having holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, all that stuff, right? How are you going to do all that?
Yeah.
That's why I said there's so many. How was the summer? Everybody kind of relaxes in the summer, right?
Yeah.
And then New Year's resolution hits, right? The idea is to not have a New Year's resolution every year,
No.
right? The idea is to commit to something and then give yourself time and understand how to maintain those results when it is a holiday, when it is a birthday, when it is a graduation, when it is a thing. So ideally, be realistic and just know that whatever you think you have to do, you're probably gonna have to do more,
Yeah.
right? But that doesn't mean more restrictive. That doesn't. It just means you have to give yourself time to get there,
Yeah.
and don't like and learn. We don't learn. We just want the result, but we don't know how we got there, right? Because
No.
a coach told you eat this, right? My least favorite thing, and we could touch this more on a different podcast.
Yeah.
My least favorite thing, and I'll call out everybody, and I'm not trying to call out anybody, but I will, and if they have an issue, they can discuss it with us. Anybody that tells you, hey, Sean, uh, how about you lose 20 pounds in the next 90 days? I am not a freaking mind reader. I can't predict the future. I can predict that you're going to lose 20 pounds in 90 days. How the hell am I going to tell you that?
Yeah.
Could you? Sure.
Yeah.
Could you lose 25? Sure. You might lose 40. You might lose two. But for me to tell you, hey, how about I show you how to lose 20 pounds in 90 days? It would be a lie. It's a complete lie. I
Yeah.
can't predict that you're going to lose 20 pounds in 90 days.
No.
All I can predict is I can show you the habits, routine, and structure that will take you there.
Yeah.
You have to still do the work.
Well, here's the question, right? And like Ovi said, we're not going to go off on a tangent because we'll have more
Yeah, I
podcasts
can go on tangent.
with this, but it's like with that scenario, it's more like, how about we show you how to be the person who can just do this forever and
You
just
got
feel
it.
good about it,
You got
right?
it.
Forget the 90 days.
Right.
Like, do you want to change, right? Do you want to go from the person who
Right.
is insecure, has a goal, to like, hey, just feeling good, living
Right.
life on their
Especially if that's your thing. If you want to lose weight and that makes you feel good, so be it.
Yeah.
If it goes, you go to the gym and that makes you feel good, so be it. Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to. Right.
Yeah.
But in anything, you should want to, be able to keep whatever results are.
Yeah.
Right. Because we can make $1 million and then waste it the next
Blow
day.
it out. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. How can we make another $1 million? Or how can I make that $1 million more sustainable?
Yep.
And now I can keep it and I can retire and I can make it grow. Right. So in this particular situation, everything I have been bodybuilding since 2017. Not much has changed about my physique.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And that's 7 years ago.
Yep.
Actually, more than 7 years ago. Right. We're going on 8 years. Right. But that's the thing. When people are like, oh, well, the holidays are coming up. That doesn't mean anything to me because I can still have all the holiday food and it doesn't hurt me.
So that's a great point, and people have pointed that out about me too. They're
Yeah.
like, "Well, Sean, you can eat whatever you want," but they don't know that for the last 10 years, I've been limiting myself. So it's like the good news for you guys who are listening, if you do have a goal, when you do it diligently, time after time, over 10 years, it's not going to be as hard anymore.
It's not. And it's not the Thanksgiving Day food.
No.
It's not the Christmas food. It's
No.
not the New Year's night. We have 310 other days during the year to do the right stuff.
Yes.
It's not the
Yes.
weekend that screwed you up. It's the Wednesday or Tuesday that you just went off on, you know what I mean? It's consistency over time, not perfection for a short amount of time. Because you're not going to get anywhere.
No.
And that's cheesy to say, I know it, but it's true. Like, you want to be consistent because you're not going to be perfect.
No.
I tried to be perfect and I lasted 3.5 years.
Yeah.
4 at best.
Yeah.
Right?
Because it'll drive you crazy.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Perfection is not the goal. Being consistent is the goal because since bodybuilding, I still maintain the consistency, but I am not restricting.
Yeah.
I have a 5-year-old boy.
Yeah.
You know how much pizza we eat? Right?
Yeah.
And I like burgers and he likes mac and cheese and pizza.
Yeah.
So we go everywhere. Right? We go and we get pizza, we get fries, we get burgers, right?
Yeah.
But when we don't do that, I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
So I stay on my program, my plan,
Yep.
what works for me. I'm consistent with it. And when we travel or we do something or there's a holiday or a birthday, okay.
80-20, right? Most of
got
the
it.
time you're doing your
Yeah.
program, you're eating
Right.
clean, and then when your son wants to have some burgers, do it.
I eat 5 meals a day.
Yeah.
Times 7 is 35 meals a week.
Yep.
I could go out to dinner every 4 nights a week and still be at 90%.
There you go. There you go. So guys, I'm not going to hold Ovi too long, but I want to ask you one last question. He's going to be on multiple podcasts, so if we have more questions, we'll get there. But in today's day and age, after all of that, the bodybuilding, achieving your goal, doing all of those things, what is your main way of helping people now? Like, what do you focus on primarily?
Them,
Okay.
not even the food, just them. What's driving them? What's their hurdle, right? You got to really take each person individually. So even though we've done this hundreds of times and thousands of peoples and all that stuff, every single person comes with their unique challenge.
Hmm.
Them. It's understanding their situation.
Yeah.
How can we take their strength to make them stronger?
Hmm.
There's no weakness.
Yep.
There's just things that we can make better. How we utilize our strengths to get there. Forget about weaknesses. We don't have weaknesses.
Yeah.
Right? We just have strengths. Some are stronger than others.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Each person has to be treated that way. So, them.
Yeah.
Is the
I
answer.
love that because
Yeah.
we are truly in the people business. You're not
But
making,
none of them are the same.
yeah, you're not making a nutrition plan. You're
No.
working with a person.
Right. It's a
Yeah.
program. It's not a plan. And that's what I hate when people are like, oh, I want to follow a meal plan. No, you don't. Because you can't follow a meal plan. Because meal plans are not supposed to be perfect.
Yeah.
It's hard to be perfect on a meal plan, but if you follow a guideline or a principle
Yep.
or the idea behind it, then it doesn't matter where you go, right? This is what you should eat optimally. Eat it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a specific plan,
Yeah.
right? Unless you're bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't have to
Then
be a
it does.
specific plan. Yeah.
I love that. I
But
love
for
that.
most
Working
of
on the
us,
people.
it's the whole like guideline behind it. Follow a guideline. Don't follow a plan.
Yeah.
Because nobody's going to stick to a plan. Because you'll forget the food. You'll run out of food, right?
You'll be out somewhere.
You'll be out somewhere and you don't have something.
Yeah.
So to follow a plan is silly.
Yeah.
It's silly. Could you do it? Absolutely. But are you going to do it all the time? Chances are not.
No.
But the guideline behind it, you can follow anywhere because that means you can go to Wawa and still stay on plan. If you know what I mean, like guidelines.
Well, what that does is it builds confidence and
Right.
consistency.
Right, because you're consistent.
Which will get you the results,
Right.
guys. So listen, we could talk about this all day, every day. I'm obsessed with these topics
Likewise.
and learning
Likewise.
more about Ovi. So where can people follow you, reach out?
So they can obviously follow us here, right? Arete Athletics, the podcast.
Yep.
But I also have my own podcast with Kelly, Eat the Food.
Eat the food.
Right.
Okay.
Oviphysiques.com is the website for nutrition. Ovi_physiques on Instagram.
Nice.
And then Coach Ovi is my personal Instagram.
Okay.
If you want to see pictures of me and my son.
So I will tag all this stuff in the show notes so that you guys can go follow Ovi, reach out personally if you have any questions. And we're always here for you guys.
Yeah,
So
but we're going to be together, so
Yeah.
that's easier
Yeah.
for them to get in touch with both
absolutely.
of us. So,
We want to see you win, guys. So until next time, we'll catch up with you guys.
thank you.